Hello, and welcome to Storytime with Saturena. Today I have a great story. This story is about how two people changed a man's life forever. Let me tell you a little bit about it before we get started. Little Denver grew up very poor, and he didn't get to go to school. He worked hard on a plantation, but wished for more for his life. As time passed, Denver decided to hop a train to the big city for a different life. That life was difficult, though, and Denver spent many years as a homeless man. But God showed his love through two unexpected people who were very different from Denver, and his life was changed forever. Let's get started. The name of the book that we'll be reading is Same Kind of Different as Me. This book was written and illustrated by Ron Hall and Denver Moore. I used to spend a lot of time worrying that I was different from other people. But I found out everybody's different, the same kind of different as me. Not too many years ago, American people were struggling. That time was called the Great Depression. Families didn't have much money. Mothers and fathers couldn't find jobs to buy food, medicine, or warm clothes for their children. That was the time when Denver was born, on a cold January day on a cotton plantation in Louisiana. He was so small that his granddaddy could carry him in his front pocket of his overalls. Denver's family worked as sharecroppers, picking cotton on the man's plantation. The man let them live in a shack on the plantation. They had no electricity, they had no lights, they had no water. They were as poor as they could be. These are called overalls, and there's Denver in his granddaddy's pocket. And if you didn't know, sharecropping is when a landowner loans out his land to the tenant, and the tenant pays the landowner with their crops. Denver's family didn't have a car. Sometimes they rode on a big wagon pulled by mules, but they usually walked. Most of the food they ate came from their garden: corn, potatoes, and carrots. The milk came from the man's cow. At Christmas, the man would give them a pig so they would have some meat. Even though he was a little boy, Denver worked with the rest of his family. He fed the chickens, he milked the cows, and he picked wild berries. Wow, he did a lot for a little guy, didn't he? Would you help your family like that? There wasn't money for toys, so Denver would make toy trucks from old boards with bottle caps for the wheels. One day, Denver saw the man's son, Bobby, riding down the dirt road on a brand new bicycle. It was shiny and red. Denver had never seen a bicycle. He wanted one so much. He asked the man, "Can I do extra chores for you so I can earn enough money to buy a bike like Bobby's?" "Denver," the man said, "if you pick 100 pounds of cotton, I will buy you a new bike." 100 pounds of cotton? Whew, that sounds like a lot. Would you pick 100 pounds of cotton for a brand new bicycle? Denver got up before the sun even came up the next morning and picked cotton all day, sweat trickling down his forehead into his eyes. Just as the sun was setting, he took his pillowcase full of cotton to the man's barn and put it on the scales. It only weighed 5 pounds. Day after day, he worked in the hot sun and picked cotton until his hands and knees were so sore and swollen that he could not pick any more. The man's son, Bobby, felt so sorry for Denver and thought, "I'll pick some cotton too and sneak it into Denver's sack in the barn." With a friend helping him, Denver finally had 100 pounds of cotton. Wow, what a friend to help him. Would you help your friend if they needed? A few days later, the man said, I have a surprise for you, Denver. Come with me and Bobby down to the barn. When they got to the barn, Denver swung the big doors open. Inside was a brand new bike just for him. It was shiny and red with a rubber horn on the handlebars. Denver couldn't believe his eyes. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, he hollered loud enough for everyone on the plantation to hear. He gave the men a big hug, and then he and Bobby rode off together on their bikes. It was the happiest day of Denver's life. I bet it was. He worked so hard to earn that red bicycle. And he had a great friend to help him. Most kids go to school, but not Denver. He had to work in the cotton fields instead. He wanted to learn to read and write his name, but nobody in Denver's family knew how to teach him. Year after year, when the other kids headed off to school with their lunches and books, Denver stayed behind to work on the plantation. He picked the cotton, milked the cows, and fed the pigs and chickens. Denver wasn't happy. He wanted to learn and to see new places and to have enough money to buy things of his own. But all that sharecroppers like Denver could do was stay on the farm and work. How sad. One day, when Denver was grown, he was walking to the man's store and saw a train stopped on the railroad tracks. I wonder where that train goes, Denver thought. He decided to jump on the train and find out. He was ready to see the world. Click, clack, click, clack, the train sped along the tracks, all day and all night. Denver rode in a boxcar that carried coal. He got covered in coal dust. Soon his pretty brown skin looked as black as the coal. When the train finally stopped, Denver climbed down to the ground. He was in Fort Worth, Texas. Wow, he traveled very far, didn't he? And these are boxcars right here. What a big place, Denver said as he walked through the city looking up at all the tall buildings. There were shops everywhere and people walking very fast in every direction. Everyone he saw wore nice clothes and looked all clean and shiny. Denver was barefoot and wearing overalls covered in coal dust. He didn't need a mirror to know that he did not look like anyone else in this town. Denver had no money. He had no place to sleep. First, he dug through the trash cans near a restaurant for food. Then he slept in a cardboard box in the bushes under the bridge. He took a bath in the river. Oh, poor Denver. Denver tried to get a job in a store, but he didn't know how to read and write his name on the application. Are you homeless? The store owner asked. Denver didn't know what that meant. He never owned a home, but the man had given him a shack to live in. Now his home was a cardboard box. People weren't very nice to Denver. They wouldn't talk to him. They pretended they didn't see him. They said he was dirty and smelled bad and ate from garbage cans. No one would help him. Denver spent a long time living as a homeless man. Being lonely, poor, and hungry made him mean. He slept outside under bridges, on park benches, or near the front steps of churches. He hoped some of the nice church-going people would help him or give him some food, maybe a sandwich or a hot cup of coffee on a really cold day. But no one ever did. No one cares about me, he thought. At night, He would look up at the sky full of stars. Is there really a God up there? He wondered. Does he love me? There is a God, and he did love Denver. So he made a very strange thing happen. A nice lady named Miss Debbie had a dream about a homeless man. I saw his face, Debbie told her husband, Ron. I saw a wise man who changed the city. Let's see if we can find the man in a dream. Debbie and Ron searched everywhere, but they couldn't find the man in Debbie's dreams. Miss Debbie and Ron went every week to help at a homeless mission. They gave out food and clothes. They also taught homeless people how to read and write so they could get jobs. How nice is that? Do you think Denver could be the man that she dreamed about? One night, as Ron and Miss Debbie served dinner at the mission, she saw the man from her dream. What's your name? She asked. My name is Denver. I'm a very bad man. Leave me alone. But Miss Debbie wasn't afraid. You are not a bad man, she said softly. You are a good man. God loves you, and so do I. Denver had never heard anyone say, God loves you. He had never even heard someone say, I love you. Her words made him feel less angry and lonely. That night, as he lay in his cardboard box, he thought about the nice lady with the kind voice. Is she an angel? He wondered. What do you think? Is she an angel? Denver and Miss Debbie became friends. She told him about God. She taught him how to read and write. Ron taught Denver how to paint pictures. He took Denver to art museums. They became friends. Pretty soon, Denver started to feel happy. He knew that he would never be alone again. God would always be with him. I am not a bad man, he thought. I'm a good man. God loves me. God made me. God gave me friends. Denver was so thankful that Miss Debbie and Ron loved him that he wanted to help other homeless people too. Denver and Ron traveled all across America, asking everyone to help the homeless people in their cities. What a great deed to do. Would you travel around the world to help homeless people? People read about Denver in the newspapers. They saw him on TV. He was even invited to the White House to meet the president. Denver told people about living in the cardboard box in the bushes under the bridge. He said that no one had ever loved him until Miss Debbie and Ron, and that they had introduced him to God and his love. Miss Debbie was different from anybody I had ever met, and I was different from anybody she had ever met. But, he said with a big smile, I finally figured it out, that she was the same kind of different as me. Denver had learned that nobody can help everybody, but everybody can help somebody. And he wanted to spend the rest of his life helping as many somebodies as he could. The next time you see a homeless person or a poor person, think of Denver. Remember how he was able to change his life because of Miss Debbie, was kind to him, and said to him, God loves you and so do I. You can help somebody too. The end. Wasn't that a great story? Remember this. Nobody can help everybody, but everybody can help somebody. Who will you help today? I hope you enjoyed Same Kind of Different as Me. See you next time.